The Remington Model 870. Let's check it out. The Remington 870 is one of those firearms that's just Americana. And since 1950, Remington has been producing the 870 pump action shotgun in a multitude of gauges, different barrel lengths, different models. But there have been over 11 million of these sold, which makes it one of the most popular shotguns ever produced. Now, during 2008 to 2012, it did suffer some quality issues under the Freedom Group. But from what I understand, Remington has really come back strong. This is a mid-1970s model, and I picked this up at a local gun store. My first shotgun I ever bought was a Remington 870. I still own it today. They're just great shotguns. We're going to take a look at it. We're going to talk a little bit about the history, but mainly, this is just an icon for American shooters. And if you're looking for a pump shotgun, it's hard to beat the Remington 870. Well, guys, with the Remington 870, I mean, there are so many of these out there, and they come in all kind of different conditions. I picked this one up. It's about a 1974 to 77 from the serial number. But this is a Wingmaster. They did make the Express model, which had more of a Parkerized type finish on it. It was just a cheaper shotgun. Even those, though, were pretty decent. They did, again, go through a period of time where Freedom Group owned them, and they did suffer with some quality. And so that was about 2008, and then it was sold by 2012, so the new shotguns should be good to go. Also, there's a lot of police trade-ins, and those can be really solid shotguns. I think, you know, carried a lot, shot little, and you're getting a good price. One thing about the Wingmaster is the blue finish and the beautiful stocks. I mean, they're very well done. Now, there is a little lever here at the front, but before we do that, we're going to check the tube. It's empty, and then just to press it, pull back, and you can check the chamber, and it's empty. There's something about that sound. Now, the 870 non-magnum models shoot the 2 3/4 inch shells. If you want to shoot 3 inch, you can go with the Magnum, and then you can go with the Super Magnum for 3.5 inch. But guys, these shotguns have been made in every caliber, and typically they're the same action. 12 gauge, 20 gauge, 26 gauge, 28 gauge, and 410 gauge. But in 1969, they did start to scale down the 28 and the 410 gauge, but you can find them in the full size with every gauge. Now, starting out at the back, we have a rubber butt pad at the end, has a lot of holes in it just to absorb the recoil with spacers. And then this stock, I mean, it is absolutely beautiful. There is a lot of wear on this shotgun, but the stocks look really good. And of course, you have this checkering that runs through the pistol grip. We have a spacer and a cap on the end of the pistol grip, and we have an engraved duck. The fore-end, beautiful wood, and we have the checkering, and also we have these little indentions right here just to be able to put your fingers. But it's a really high polish on that wood. It's absolutely beautiful, and that is on the Wingmasters. Okay, trigger guard is aluminum, and right here is where you unlock your bolt. Once you have a round in the chamber, you have to either do this or you have to pull the trigger. And so obviously this is more of a safety feature just to make it easier for you to unload. But each time you rack the slide, it does lock, and so this unlocks, and then your trigger also unlocks it. Now, the original 870s did have an issue. When you're loading in your rounds, if you didn't seat it all the way in and catch, they could bounce in between the follower and your bolt, and that would cause a jam malfunction. In fact, sometimes you'd even have to completely disassemble the shotgun. So they made a modification to later models, and it's called the Flexi-tab. There's a U-shaped cutout engraved in the follower And there's also some reduction to the carrier and slide assembly, but you can get aftermarket parts to replace what you have, so that isn't a problem. The Express models had more of a matte finish or a satin finish on the wood, or they also come with the polymer fore-end and buttstock. Now the Remington's all steel. Typically it's well blued. This has some wear finishes on it, mainly from storage, but I could tell that the gun had been shot quite a bit, but it's still in great shape. And we have our trigger, and we have a crossbolt safety that's right at the back of the trigger guard. On the Mossbergs, typically they're up here on the receiver. We have a chrome-plated bolt. Very slick action, and it's one of the things that Remington is known for. Also, we have serrations along the top to keep glare down on the top of your receiver. Of course, this model has the vent rib on the barrel, and it is also serrated all the way down the end of the barrel, and of course it's vented, so there's spaces in between. Now you have an end cap at the end, and this can just be unscrewed, and there are some detents in there to hold it into place. That's needed, especially when you're going to take your barrel off or you're disassembling the firearm. And it has slots in case you have trouble getting it off. Now this is a 28-inch barrel. Again, it is vent ribbed. They do come with a number of different barrel lengths. In fact, I have an 18.5-inch barrel for this particular shotgun. I can change that out within minutes. Now this does hold 4 rounds of 12 gauge, 2 3/4 inch, and then you can put one in the chamber. So it's a 5-round capacity. You can get extension tubes to be able to increase the capacity. And there's also a plug you can put in to limit it to 2 rounds for hunting. In fact, here is the 18-inch barrel. A buddy of mine cut this down. It's been years and years ago, and it does have ports drilled into it. And I'll tell you, this thing makes it shoot so soft. Now the 870 has dual action bars, so we have a bar here and on the other side, and this just makes it for very smooth operation, but it also gives it a lot of strength. I believe the Mossberg 500 only had a single action bar, but the 590 has the doubles. Now the bolt fits into the barrel extension, and you can see the extractors right here, but it's again very smooth. Now we do have a bead post at the end, but there are no chokes in the early models. I think it was 1996 before they came out with the rim choke, which allowed you to change this out. But you can actually get a barrel that will have the threads for your rim chokes. As far as the trigger action, a tiny bit of take up, you hit a wall, and a nice break. Reset right there. Trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells. 2 pounds, 13.9 ounces. 2 pounds, 14.6 ounces. Give a big thank you to Fiocchi for sponsoring our ammo. They do a lot of shotgun shells, different types, just a large array of shotgun shells. We're going to be shooting the target loads first, and these are 2 3/4, which this takes 2 3/4. These are 7.5 shot. We also have some buckshot, and these are also 2 3/4 9 pellets. And we'll do some testing with these as well. Now it's a 4-round capacity, so I want to top it off with the first one. So I'll go ahead and bring it in, and then just load them like normal. You know, some of the newer shotguns, they have buttons you push to keep the loading gate in a certain position, but this is just plain and simple. Guys, the Remington 870 has been around for a long time, and it was one of the most popular shotguns ever sold. Millions of these have been sold, and I'll tell you, there was a number of different models. The Wingmaster is one of my favorites. They did have the Express, which was more of their economy model, an icon as far as in the shotgun world. It is a pump shotgun. The wood on here is beautiful. Now, once Freedom Group bought Remington, the quality started to suffer, but now that they've been bought, they're starting to pick up. This is one of the original Remingtons, and it's a beautiful blued finish on it. I mean, it's just gorgeous. Now we're going to shoot some field loads just to test them out, and then we're going to shoot some buckshot just to kind of get an idea of the feel of the recoil. So now that we've loaded up the field loads, we're going to go ahead and take a few shots. I'll tell you guys, this is so slick, so smooth. Loading gate, so easy to use. I mean, this is really when this was in its full production, and the bluing on here is beautiful.
There's just something about the 870 that I've always loved. Again, first shotgun ever bought. And I've been crazy about these ever since. Now we're going to shoot some buckshot. Guys, honestly, the buckshot's more controllable. It just stays low. It hits your shoulder a little bit more, but from the field loads, actually, I enjoy shooting the buckshot even more. And buckshot's what you're going to want in a home defense situation, but you want to watch for over penetration. What I love though is I can change this barrel out real quick. I do have an 18.5-inch barrel that I put on mine if I want it for home defense, but for skeet shooting, for hunting, I mean, this makes just an excellent option. I mean, this is a legend. Guys, we're going to do a standard test of 5 yards using target loads and then a round of buckshot, just to kind of see the pattern. Here you can see the target loads spread out, not too far, because it is up close. This is the wadding, and then down here is the buckshot, fairly close, and again, wadding. Now we backed it out to 15 yards. First is the target load, and then the buckshot. Target load, big spread. You have the wadding right here, but I mean, it covers that whole general area. The buckshot still stayed pretty tight, had one pellet come out, but the wadding was too far back. And that's at 15 yards.
Now we're going to disassemble the Remington 870. Of course, first thing, we want to make sure the gun is unloaded. We're going to check to make sure there are no shells, bring it back, check the chamber, and we're empty. Now take the tube cap and just go ahead and turn it. You want to take it off. We're going to bring back the bolt just a little bit, and then we can just pull the barrel right off. Now take a bench block, put it behind your receiver. We're going to remove these 2 trigger pins. So it should come out fairly easy. So we're just going to take a push pin, see if we can pop it out. If not, we're going to tap them out. Now go ahead and just remove your trigger assembly. This is really dirty, so we probably need to clean that up. Right here is your shell stop, and you're going to need to push that down to press it before you bring out your bolt. And then the bolt just comes right out. Now you want to be careful right here because your bolt and your carrier are sitting on your action bars, and they're just held on. So those will fall off. And next, just take your bolt, remove it, and then take your carrier and remove it. Now we're field stripped, so let's go ahead and reassemble. We're going to put on our fore end, and then we're going to put our bolt back into place. And just get it barely started. Now once the bolt is stopped in the receiver, you're going to have to push down your shell stops. Of course, this one is on the left-hand side, so we're going to push the one that's on the right and on the left, and then it'll just go ahead and go all the way back. Now move it forward, and then go ahead and take your trigger group, and you're going to want to take the front end and push it in first, and then we bring in the back end. Next, take your pins, it doesn't matter which one's first, and just get them started. And then just tap them in. Now you want to bring your bolt back just a touch, and then we'll take our barrel and we'll bring out the receiver part first, and then we'll get the tube and close it down, and now we're going to go ahead and replace our end cap. Making sure that's good and snug. Next, check your action, and we're back in business. I mean, guys, really the only difficult part is just getting those shell stops depressed, but otherwise this just goes together really easy. Now, keeping your firearms maintained and cleaned is vital. Otis makes some of the best cleaning equipment out there. They make a number of different kits that are dedicated for different rifles, pistols. They also have Shooter's Choice, which makes excellent CLP and bore solvent and different cleaning materials. The Ripcord is one of their signatures, and there's a whole system based around it. They are suppliers to the U.S. military. And so here we have our tactical kit. It's a very compact little pouch, and you have everything you need to keep your firearm cleaned in the field. But then also they have larger kits with the steel rods and with rip cords, and they make a number, in fact probably the most I've ever seen. And then of course they have tools as well. So check out Otis Technologies, highly recommended, and we want to thank Otis for being a sponsor of the channel. Now the price on the 870 runs a little over $500 and goes all the way up according to what you're getting. With the old models, they have the bluing, which you don't have on the new ones. It's more of a coating finish, but honestly it's more durable. Again, there's so many different options, whether you get the synthetic stocks, you can get side saddles for it, you can get tritium sights. I mean, you name it, you can do it. I was just looking on the Remington website and there have been over 13 million of these sold. Now what are some pros and cons? Well, first, it's just an iconic traditional shotgun, and guys, it just works. There have been very few changes to this. The rim chokes are definitely a big plus. There have been different barrel configurations that you can get. Also, with the Flexi-tab system, you may want to upgrade if you have an older model. I paid just about $450 for this one, and I was glad to get it because it's just that older design, which I like. But it does have its faults, and some cons would be if it doesn't have the cut out and hasn't had the Flexi-tab set in. Definitely one of the older models, it doesn't have the choke. So those are a couple of issues. But otherwise, this is a very proven design with police, military, and obviously with civilians and hunters, self-defense, you name it. A good shotgun is really something that is a well-rounded firearm. And the pump is just very reliable. So if you see an old Remington shotgun and you're thinking about purchasing it, guys, I mean, it is something that even if there was a little something wrong with it, there are so many different parts and accessories, and it's a very simple firearm and so many uses. Well, guys, the Remington 870, it's a legend in the shotgun world. Great pump, very dependable, smooth action, of course, all steel frame, and you can choose from so many different calibers and barrel lengths. It's just one of those shotguns that fits a lot of niches and great for home defense. And it's really good just to get that old 870 back out to the range. And guys, we have just revamped our website at suitsgear.com. There's a lot of different suit swag over there, patches, t-shirts, but there's also a lot of my favorite products are there. We also have the Suits deals where we find all kind of deals and offer those to you guys at some of the best prices. Another thing that we do is a lot of the videos that were taken down by YouTube, which we call our contraband or banned videos, and all that's over on suitsgear.com, so check it out. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Next, we're going to take those shell, what are those called? I don't know what that's called, hold on. Some of those really quality, all blue kind. Then we're going to take our receiver. They were just some poor quality, and there were a lot of issues with the, okay. Now once the bolt stops, you want to push your shell, whatever that is. It's a shell what? What is that shell thing? 870 sold than almost any other caliber. I mean, any other caliber. Caliber, what the crap? Place or reassemble. So we're going to put our, what was that? What was that?